So if you're talking about an object traveling toward the vanishing point on the horizon, that object is going to lower its declination according to an arctangent function, as I mentioned, and it's going to get smaller according to an arctangent function. It's going to have whatever starting, whatever angular size and angular position it had to begin with. Those are going to change according to a predictable function. You don't have to know the physical distance. You don't have to know the physical size. But if it's traveling directly away from you, it should follow that function.
Okay, would you say that using geometry would be a good way of figuring out the linear expected angular size change?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. That's why I
Okay.
mentioned
So does geometry
arctangent.
use triangles?
Often, yes, that's the subsection of geometry called
Okay.
trigonometry.
Okay. So if we only have one length of the triangle, meaning we don't have the distance from the observer on the surface of the earth to the sun, if we don't have that length of the triangle or the length of the triangle from the sun back down to the earth to another position on the earth, can you see why we can't figure out that angular size and what we should expect the
No,
change to
no,
be?
because it doesn't matter how big the triangle is. We know two of the angles, okay? Because you're saying
Okay, but hold on. I don't think you're listening. I don't think you're understanding. I'm saying we don't have two angles. We need at least two angles of the triangle in geometry to figure the
we
distance,
do have
right?
two angles. We do. Because you're
Okay,
saying
so what two angles do we have in the triangle?
we have the angle we measure at one corner of the triangle, which is our, the angular position from our vantage point, and
In
the
relation
other
to what?
in relation to the horizon, or whatever your reference point is.
Okay, let's make it simple. Let's say we have two coordinate systems on the surface of the earth, and we assume that the earth is a rigid body. And right?
It sounds almost like you're trying to figure out how far away the sun is. I didn't think we were doing that. I mean, if that is what you're doing, then yeah, that's a good methodology. But no, I
Yeah, that's exactly what that's what I'm saying, because we in geometry we have to basically to figure out the angular change of the size of the sun in relation to a viewer on the earth, we would have to know the distance to be able to calculate the angular size change.
no, I don't think we do. I think we can do
Why?
that with one observer, and I think that's the best method because it doesn't
That's
matter.
not geometry then, though. You're not using
Yes,
you
it
said that
is.
geometry no, a geometry is using triangles. So
Yes,
you
there
have
are
to have
triangles on the celestial sphere. You don't need two observers.
how do you make a triangle with one observer?
Because you can measure where something is in relation to something else that you see, like the horizon. So that you can say from one vantage point, you can say how many degrees above or below, well, not below, how many degrees above the horizon the sun is. You only need one observer to do that. And you
Okay,
can
but
use the sextant.
if the horizon is apparent, how do you know that that apparent position where you're looking out to the horizon won't be in a different spot tomorrow or the next day? Basically, my claim is we can't make the triangle. So we can't use trigonometry, right? We cannot create two angles which are needed to find the distance or the lengths of a
Where
triangle.
we can define one of the angles that to
One
be
angle.
90 degrees.
Do we Okay, let's agree on this. Do we need two of the angles to figure out the lengths of the triangle?
We don't need to figure out the length of the triangle because we if we have one angle and we define it to be a right triangle, that means the other angle is 90 degrees. We have a triangle, and the lengths don't matter because it's going to be congruent to whatever triangle we define.
We're not using geometry then, bro. Like we must be disagreeing on the core tenets of geometry. Because you have to have two angles of the triangle to figure out the lengths of the distance, and we're trying like would you okay how do we okay
What I'm saying is that if something is disappearing from the bottom up so that the bottom half is obscured while the top half is still larger than the grain of resolution of your image,
yeah,
what that means is that something has to be blocking the line of sight between you and the object, and then the bottom of the object. There is no other physical way that can happen.
okay, I think that we're at a philosophical impasse, brother. This
This
conversation has
is
become extremely circular.
this is pure geometry. It's not even philosophical.
It's not geometrical. I mean, in a way, it's basically comparing Euclidean to hyperbolic geometry. But I think that we'll have to have a further conversation, bro. We've been talking for like an hour, a little bit over an hour. Do you mind if I talk with another guest?
Not at all.